Hey guys, this is Rhys Trenhaile from the Vanguard Team at Manor Realty in Windsor, Ontario. With me is the ever-smiling Justin Falconer from Workforce Windsor, Essex. I said that right?
You did. Thanks, Rhys, for
Yeah.
having me.
Yeah. So Justin is the one guy that's in the media more than me. We're two of those guys that you come to if you need a story. So why Justin and I are talking today is there's a big time problem that if you're moving to Windsor for work or you're an investor that's looking at Windsor, you're already in Windsor, you need to be aware of what's going on from a workforce standpoint and a population standpoint. And I'll explain why in a second. Justin, you were recently quoted in regard to this massive influx of population. So if I'm not mistaken, it's 2024 now. I actually had to look because I've had 4 concussions. Guys, shut up. In 2022, we had about 10,000 people move here. And everybody went, "Ooh, wow, that's really high compared to the last 20 years." And then 2023, we had over 31,000 people move here.
Yeah, nearly 32. Yeah.
Nearly 32,000. And then this year, we're predicted to have over 40,000.
It could happen. We'll see, but the numbers look very favorable.
That's crazy. That's crazy. So just to put this in perspective, guys, compared to the last, so between 2000 and 2021, the population barely grew, about 0.6% a year. And then all of a sudden, we're looking at almost 100,000 people in 3 years and still going. There's no signs of stopping, right? So my question to you is, are these single people moving here? Are these people moving down here because they've already got jobs lined up? Are they bringing their families with them? Like, what kind of people are these that are moving down here all of a sudden? Where are they coming from? Why are they coming?
Yeah, so the source of the population growth is really interesting. I think your listeners, viewers will appreciate knowing that the bulk of these folks are actually what they would refer to as, or what they would call non-permanent residents. So these are temporary workers, students, asylum claimants, but these people looking for probably their first home, like a rental unit, small apartment, a small house, a basement unit. Like, these people need starting housing when they're coming here. And there's a lot of them. Like, we're talking explosive population growth on that front.
Oh,
now,
man.
when people are moving from within Canada to Windsor, I think, and you're seeing most of that coming from Toronto, I think those are young professionals starting families looking to purchase their home, sort of raise their family, and their dollar is going to go a lot further in Windsor than anywhere else in Ontario.
Right. That's a huge takeaway, I think, especially for the investors, the real estate investors that are watching this video right now, where what you're talking about from a supply and demand perspective is there's a massive pressure from those big numbers to find places to rent, not necessarily to buy. Is that what I understood?
I think there's going to be a great rental demand because I don't think a lot of these non-permanent residents are going to have the down payments and the required financial capital at this point in their migration journey to really afford the purchase of a home. But I do think that they are hardworking, and they'll be committed to staying and putting in roots in Windsor. There's a great multicultural community.
Oh, man.
And so hopefully lots of staying power on the rental side for the near term anyways.
Yeah, this is what people forget is, you're bringing over all these foreign students, for example, right? And they're filling up tons of trades at St. Clair College. And so it's amazing to me how many of them want to stay. They don't want to go back home. They get a taste of the Canadian life in Windsor. And I've met a lot of them, right? And they start asking you, do you know anybody that needs an engineer, right? Like they don't want to leave. And that's a good thing. Like we need these skilled trades. We need these university educated people that are moving over from, like, we get a lot of Indians from the Gujarati province right now, whereas it used to be a ton of Punjabs that were moving here. And yeah, it's amazing to me how many of them just want to stay,
Yeah, our country, even our communities are really going to rely on this influx of new citizens, new people. We need this for our social programs, for everything really. So it's going to continue to happen, and it looks like they're choosing Windsor.
Yeah. And what do you think about the federal government? They've cut back the number of foreign students coming here, but I mean, it's still a huge number. It's still flirting with like 500,000 a year that are coming over for school, right? 430, 440,000. You know better than me.
Yeah, I think there's still opportunity there for educational institutions to continue to provide high quality education to foreign born students
Right.
looking to get educated here. I think it's becoming increasingly difficult for some of them to find pathways to citizenship after school. We want to obviously. There seems to be, the sensitivity around what roles do educational institutions play in sort of leading to citizenship pathways, and is that just how much do we want to grant citizenship to just people because they got into educational schools here?
Sure.
So I think they're reflecting on that. I'm not an expert on it. I think there's just a lot of reflection happening in the volume and sort of the number. And Canada's a great place to live and to work, and my guess is they want to do their fair share of, family reunification and asylum claimants, but also really economic immigrants too, people who are going to contribute and work hard and grow a business here.
Yeah, and it's funny, like the dirty little secret, I think, with Canada, with the refugees, and Canadians don't even understand this. There's only really two types. Either that we're the only country in the world that citizens can sponsor a refugee, right, to come over. And when you already start with that support network, and it tends to be churches, there are some exceptions, but a lot of it's done through the churches. You've already got this massive support group with the community through the church, etc., with those refugees, and they end up doing quite well because they're supported by the community straight away, which I think is lovely. The other refugees that Canada's taking in, like I remember we were getting, lauded internationally for taking in 25,000 Syrian refugees, during that big conflict. And what people don't realize is Canada kind of picks and chooses from the United Nations refugee camps, right? You're a lawyer running for your life. You're a doctor running for your life. You're a businessman running for your those tend to be the refugees we're taking from the camps. I hate to say it, but I mean, people that already have that educational background, they're able to adapt a lot easier to Canadian society, and they're doing quite well. I mean, there were those newspaper articles by Schmidt, good guy, and it was just great how he was breaking down their lives, and the continual message was how sort of frustrated they were that they can't work yet. They want to start working, right? And it's like when you see that over and over and over again, it's like, yeah, what do you expect? Yeah, it's good. It's good. Here's another question I have for you. So, okay, so we're talking, and maybe we've already answered this in certain respects, because we're talking about tens of thousands of people moving here, a year, and we're already way behind on housing. And yet we have a local government, and kudos to them. They're on track for the provincially demanded quota of 1,083 houses to be built this year, right? It can be apartments, it can be a whole bunch of things, but 1,083, we're on track as a city, great. But I mean, we're talking, on one hand, we're talking tens of thousands of people moving down here a year. And on the other hand, we're talking about celebrating the fact we're on track to build just under 1,100 residential units in Windsor, Essex, or I guess Windsor. And it's like, am I wrong? I mean, that doesn't seem like enough.
Yeah, I mean, like from a numbers point of view, yeah, it's the growth rate of new homes and new people are separating.
Right.
There's greater distance between those two numbers and the trajectory they're on.
Yeah.
I think, and you would probably know this better, I think, we have to take a good look at our housing policy and also expectations for housing. What was it, 50, 60, 70 years ago in wartime when it was common for a wartime home to have like one common family room, a kitchen, a bedroom, maybe some shared bedrooms.
Yep.
That was it. Like it was the basics.
I grew up with those homes, man. I get it. Yeah.
Nowadays, like homes have like games room and theaters and there's these, a lot of features in homes today that never existed, 70 years ago.
Well, people started living in basements too, which they didn't really do back in the day.
And basements too. And so I think, people's expectations of a starter home is changing. There has to be sort of a new starter home category. I know there's tiny homes, there's mobile homes, there's lots of other options out there, but I really do think for the 25-year-old who's completing school and looking for their first home, there needs to be a new first home option for them
Yeah.
to invest money and nest it a little bit.
Yeah, I'm actually shocked at the number of that sort of mid-20s person or couples that I cannot convince to move into a condo or buy a house with an additional dwelling unit to offset their costs on their first house because it's not their forever home. Like, those are the ways that I started, right? And it's like, no, we want the house in suburbia and the whole system's rigged because we can't afford it. It's like, I couldn't afford it when I was 25. I don't know how that's changed. Yeah, yes, the housing prices have gone up, but at the same time, there's still a lot of options in Windsor. Like, you can still live in a condo for $250,000. Like, it's still attainable, you know. Roommates. I had roommates in my first couple of properties, like, that I lived in. Like, you do whatever it takes. It's your first home. But so that is a good takeaway. I tell you what, and I'm going to say this in summary, especially for the investors. Very interesting to hear from Justin how so many of these big numbers are all looking to rent, right?
Yeah.
And that puts massive pressure on supply and demand. And this goes back, guys, to what I've been saying, is that if you're a turnaround specialist, forget trying to find that sort of classic fix and flip that's beat up, because everybody wants that. Where you should be, if you're a value add specialist and you want to do renovations to increase equity in a property, what you should be doing is buying a house and adding the mother-in-law suite, adding that additional dwelling unit. You're doubling residential density, and you're helping to solve a pain point in society, which is exactly what Justin's talking about, which is these tens of thousands of people moving down here. They're looking to rent. They don't have a place to rent. And if you noticed, Justin mentioned the basement unit before I even got into real estate, right? These are crucial things that we need to do as investors to help our communities and help our country, and at the same time make a profit, because that's capitalism, baby. Right? Justin, I really appreciate it, man. I kind of wish we could talk some more, but I tend to keep these at 12 to 15 minutes because we all have careers that we have to get back to. But dude, I really appreciate your time today, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And
yeah, guys, this is Justin Falconer. From I was going to say Invest Windsor Essex, which is completely incorrect. Workforce Windsor Essex. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, cheers.